and welcome to day 13 of the 6-week challenge. It's Sunday. The video's out a bit later today because I've been spending the morning and, well, most of the afternoon with my family. We had a great time this morning actually. Went out to an open farm, which is this scheme they do around the UK. I don't know how many times a year, a few times a year, and you get to go onto a working farm and have a look, and it was really interesting. So a great day out, lots of walking, lots of activities, so good stuff for burning a few extra calories, which is always good when you're doing this program, and just generally anyway. So today I want to talk to you about starvation mode and the whole myth around that when you start dieting you go into something called starvation mode. Now this all came out of, originally there's only one kind of piece of research around it, one solid piece, and that is called the Minnesota experiment, and that was conducted between 1944 and 1945. And what they did is they took 36 guys, and they were normal weight guys, and they restricted their diet, severely restricted, and put them to what they call starvation mode to see what the physiological effects of that would actually be. And the idea of it was to, well, one, see what starvation would look like on a severely restricted calorie, like a famine type scenario would look like for an average man of an average build, but also for them to help with rehabilitation of people with the ending of the Second World War, people in Europe, in Asia and Africa, and people who had suffered famine and starvation because of what had happened during World War II. Unfortunately, what they did at the same time is they also mimicked the diet. So they gave them a lot of potatoes, macaroni, those kind of things. So, quite a starchy, carby based diet, which we now know is not ideal for weight loss and sustained weight loss anyway. But that was what they did. So, and that's one of the problems we've got with the study itself. First of all, it was done based on people who are already a normal weight and seeing what would happen to them if they then became underweight and what effect that would then have on their metabolism. And yeah, it did slow down, as you would expect it would slow down. And it slowed down significantly because they went from being normal weight to being severely underweight. And the body was like, oh no, hold on to things. We can't burn those calories. And also the diet itself, given the type of food they were eating, was quite restrictive, and it wasn't a mixture of macronutrients. Remember, we talked about in videos, macronutrients are your fats, your carbohydrates, and your proteins, and this was quite carb heavy. So again, they weren't really getting the kind of nutrients they needed, and so again, their metabolism was slowing down. Now, there's no doubt that when you go on a diet, as you lose weight, your actually requirement for calories each day will go down, and you will find it potentially a little bit harder to lose weight. You'll lose less and less, and that's actually for 4 reasons. There are 4 components to actually burning calories. I'm just talking about the burning side of things here, and those are in order of what does the most to the least is your BMR, your basal metabolic rate, your non-exercise activity thermogenic response or thermogenesis, your exercise activity thermogenesis, and the thermic effect of food or the thermogenic effect of food. So those all sound like quite heavy things. I'll quickly explain what they are without going into too much detail and not going too sciencey on this. So your basal metabolic rate, easy for me to say, is how many calories your body just burns at rest. If you're just sat around on your bum doing absolutely nothing, how many calories it would take for your brain to function, for your body to function, and that's based on your size, it's based on the amount of muscle you've got in your body, and basically just to keep you alive day to day, and that makes up for 60 to 70% of your calorie expenditure every day. Next highest is the non-exercise activity thermogenesis, and what that is what you burn up just from general day-to-day movements. So getting up, getting yourself a cup of coffee, wandering around the office, fidgeting around in your chair, scratching your bum, going for a pee, any of these kind of things. That's all non-exercise activity thermogenesis and the thermogenic response that you get. So actual burning from that, and that accounts for 10 to 20% on average of your daily calorie expenditure. The next one is exercise activity thermogenesis, and as you might imagine, that is the calories you burn from exercise and from premeditated exercise. So jumping on your exercise bike, playing a game of tennis, playing a game of golf, for me going to Krav Maga, lifting weights, any of these things, they all have different burn effects, but that is exercise activity thermogenesis, and that accounts for, again, 10 to 15% of your daily calorie burn, or sorry, 5 to 15% of your daily calorie burn. And the final one is the thermogenic effect of food. And basically food, when you eat it, the calories, it takes calories to burn food, for your body to digest the food. And I mentioned this in an earlier video that protein is a harder thing for your body to burn than, say, carbohydrates or fats, because it's not as readily available as a source of fuel, and it's harder for it to break down. So it takes more calories to actually burn for your body to burn protein than it does, say, carbs, which is one of the reasons for the positive and the big popularity in low carb diets, because actually eating more protein as part of your diet does help to reduce your weight by increasing the thermic effect of food, but it only accounts for 5 to 10% of your overall effect. The other thing that actually reducing carb size is bring in something called ketosis, which is another topic altogether, which we will talk about in another video. So those are the 4 key things to remember, to think about when actually how your body burns food, which is your basal metabolic rate, so what you burn at rest, your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, so what you burn from just general day-to-day moving around, fidgeting, your exercise activity thermogenesis, so what you burn from doing exercise, and the thermogenic effect of food, so what you burn from what you actually eat. Now, as you can imagine, with your basal metabolic rate, if you lose weight, when you lose weight, and the same with your non-exercise activity thermogenesis and your exercise activity thermogenesis, they are based very much on how much you weigh, how much muscle you have, and actually to a certain extent how much fat you're carrying around. Because if you're walking around and you weigh, say, 250 pounds, 120 kilos, then it's going to take more energy to move you around, and it will burn more energy than, say, if you weigh 200 pounds or, say, 90 kilos. It's going to be less. So actually, as you lose weight, those 3 areas actually do reduce, and that's just natural. They are going to reduce. So you may find the difference is, and I will need to check the science on this, but the actual facts and figures on it, but it's around 250 calories difference a day from somebody who's, say, 250 pounds to 200 pounds. And that's actually quite a significant drop in what you're eating. And actually, if you think about that over the period of 12 days, that's a pound of fat. Harder it is for you to lose, so you'd have to eat a little bit less. So there is a drop, but actually it's not that significant. And if you're following a program like my program, or also any of the other really good programs out there, then you'll find that it doesn't impact you that much, because you're already following quite a restricted way of eating, and following quite a prescribed way of eating, a prescribed way of getting yourself active and working through things. And so you won't notice a big drop as you drop, because the weight loss is quite rapid, and so in fact it's very rapid, much more than the 1 to 2 pounds a week. So actually don't start to notice that happening. But it is real, but the starvation effect is absolute bollocks. It doesn't exist. What happens is it's just something that happens to you naturally. As you lose weight, is you will burn a few less calories. That's just the way it is. But if you start to get underweight, yeah, your body might start to getting start shutting down a bit, and moving into what happened to the guys in the Minnesota experiment. But for your average guy, and for the people watching this, for us guys in our 30s, 40s, 50s, we're trying to lose the weight. We might be 20, 30, 40 pounds overweight, and we want to shift that off, and maybe even more actually. You want to get that down, then there's not going to be any problems from that point of view. You will notice very, very good effects. You don't have to worry about starvation, and in fact that your hard work is going to ultimately undermine you. And that's all I have to say for today. So I will see you tomorrow, back to a Monday. And I'm not sure what we'll chat about yet, but I can't wait to talk to you. So I'll speak to you then.